Hey everybody, this is Tara with Tara Woodruff After Hours, and I wasn't sure if I was even going to make a video today, but as I went through my day, certain things started to come up in my mind, and I started to think about what that really meant. It's more about when you find yourself ruminating about something or really thinking about something that is no longer. I always try to. Sorry if I keep looking away because I'm in these. I don't even know if you can tell with the glasses, but uh, I try not to dwell on the past too much, and that's what I consciously try to not do. That doesn't mean that doesn't happen. And if you were close to me, or if you're watching my vlog, you might hear me bring up the past a lot. However, it is something that I consciously try to be like, okay, okay. Um, and there's a couple of reasons. Um, this could be a long one. There's a lot I'm thinking about right now. Let me write that one down. So, okay, the theme of this video is to talk about dissatisfaction. And is that like the greatest sin? Is that really a big sin? I really do think it is. And I think it is because I think it demonstrates lack of faith, lack of gratitude. Um, and it also demonstrates that you're not in alignment with your desires, and therefore you have great dissatisfaction. And that is, I believe that's a sin with God and his relationship to you. I think that we're supposed to do our best to be in faith and live our best lives. And for everyone, that's different. There's no there's no set standard of goals that people are supposed to meet. Everyone is individual. But dissatisfaction in your life will stop you all day long from getting to the places that you're desiring to be, especially in your relationship with God. So I'm a baby Christian. I'll just say that because I'm going to mention God a lot in this. And I don't want you to get all like, what do you know? I don't even have verses to bring to you right at this moment. I know I've read it a lot and I've heard it a lot, and that is to be content. I've even talked about it previously in this channel about contentment is really important, especially when you are reaching goals and trying to achieve what it is you feel like you are really here for. Um, so dissatisfaction is a big thing. And so what made me think of that is I was being dissatisfied in my day with something. Okay, it's foolish. So I'm driving and I go and get some gas, and I really like I was experiencing dissatisfaction, and then I left where I was at. I was at work today, and it is so glorious outside right now in Vermont. It's fucking nuts. It's just absolutely beautiful. It's not cool enough for me to open windows and let that fresh air come in, but it's also not so hot that when you go outside, you're like, wow, I remember Florida, you know? Weather has nothing to do with my contentment or my dissatisfaction, but it did remind me as I was driving down the dirt road and looking out at the world and seeing the cows off in the field that, man, I was really overloaded, and I felt this incredible amount of contentment, satisfaction, and gratitude. And I was literally just like sassy brain. So I drove to the store, got some gas. Something even happened there that wanted to set me sideways, and it didn't. I didn't let it. I get in the car to come home, and I like to take the long way home, of course. If it's not a dirt road, it's going to be the back road, one way or the other. The direct route is usually not for me. I just don't. It's not me. It's never been me my whole life, in almost every single aspect of my whole life. So I'm driving and I'm observing how incredibly beautiful it is, and still being aware that some things in the world that are beyond my control, in an immediate sense, are happening that aren't so great, and there are people that are living their human experience, and it's really brutal. And I understand, and I think that's part of the human experience. And I think that um, I'm just blown away that I'm able to drive down the road. First of all, that's a blessing and a half, and just notice how incredibly beautiful everything is, and have that window open in the car, and feel like, wow, this is amazing. Like when you're driving down the road, or walking down the road, or sleeping, or taking a shower, or cooking your meal, and you're feeling, wow, I am blessed and highly favored. Wow, that's really awesome. And I feel like it's a big hug that we get from our Father that's in heaven, God. So, as I'm about to turn down the last road that brings me back into town, um, and town is literally a post office that's in someone's house, a privately owned convenience store, a very small general store, and a restaurant, and a volunteer fire department, and a Catholic church. That's town. So I'm coming back into town. I love that. And as I make the turn onto that road, I thought of Charles, and I was like, wow. I'm like, whoa. And I talked to God. I said, wow, I miss Charles. Wow. Wow. What is up with that? And then I thought about my life around that time. I was a young mom and I was a mess. I drank too much. I did too many drugs. I was a mess. And I started thinking about like all the different things that I've done that other people would never even consider. All the experiences that I've had that most people read about in books. And over the past, I'm going to go with 2 years here, because I used to previously say I have absolutely no regrets whatsoever. And about when I escaped New Hampshire and got back to Vermont, I started having regrets about things. Probably because I couldn't believe that I spent that many years with an individual that was extremely abusive. And how long it took me to realize it. That made me feel regret. So that it started there. Then I would think about my life in my early motherhood years. So I gave birth to my daughter when I was 20 years old. We are 10 years apart. In my 20s, uh, just my entire life, I've been very dissatisfied. And in my 20s, it was really prevalent, super prevalent, because I was an adult and I was a mother. And other people, besides just my own mom and people around me, I had a child that was going to be infected, not infected, affected by my actions. And sure enough, like even just having that Freudian slip infected, I'm sure there's things that she's dealing with in her life that she may not know come from then, or does know. Like there's not a soul on this earth that's perfect, and I'm not here to beat myself up. And I've got myself to the point over the last few years that you are not going to be. You may have a couple of things you might have done differently, but not an awful lot of them. And the lesson that you are learning right now wouldn't even kind of even show up if you had not experienced your life the way you did. And so now that I was kind of beating myself up a lot, now that I'm refusing to do that because I know that that's Satan. He's the one that tells you you'll never be forgiven. Satan is the one that tells you you're just not good enough. You never were. That shit's all Satan, okay? And I started learning about how radical forgiveness was very important. And so I had to work on that really quickly because I'm 54 years old. And I lived the first half of my life like a bat out of hell in so many ways that I knew that I didn't want to live the second half of my life that way. And I also didn't want to spend the second half of my life regretting the first half because, in all reality, it was pretty fucking epic. Unbelievable. My daughter says, "You got to write that book now, or those couple of books, because it'll all disappear." And I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know if any of it really does. So I thought about Charles, and I was like, oh man. And Charles has passed away. I learned about Charles's passing away when my friend Suzanne called me. And when she calls me, it's a problem. She is the one that calls me when somebody passes away. And I was in Maine with that gentleman that I regret being in that relationship with. And I don't actually regret it. I just wish I hadn't taken so much time. I wish that I had demanded a hell of a lot more than I did. And I remember getting that phone call, and I answered the phone, and it's Suzanne. And I look over at Wayne, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a problem, Wayne, just so you know. And she tells me that Jude wanted her to call me. That was it. I knew. No fucking way. No fucking way. I was never, ever going to see that kid again. Ever. There was no chance. We were friends on Facebook. And I went to his page because I didn't believe it. And I would send him messages. He would not talk to me. Maybe once or twice he would message back, but I would just message every now and then one-liners. I loved Charles. I loved him. And I saw that he had deleted me on Facebook. I'm like, oh God, what did I do? And what it was he was watching um, my Facebook and watching me with this person. And I have no idea how he felt about it, but he deleted me. And I went to our messages and I wanted to send him a message like, I probably did. I think I did. He was gone. He died. And when I think about that, I'm like, wow, like the intensity of that relationship was, I remember I remember a few months, not very long before, I reconnected with that gentleman that lives out in Maine, or now he's in New Hampshire. Talking to my best friend Kimba, saying, I think Charles ruined me. I don't think anybody. She said, yeah. So I'm driving down this dirt road. It's not a dirt road. It's a back road, and I'm thinking of that, and then I'm thinking of Suzanne. She called me to tell me that Charles died. Suzanne is dead now. Who's gonna call me to tell me when someone passes away? I don't know, but I was thinking of that, and then it swiftly moved within a half a mile of this drive. It swiftly moved to thinking about Marco. What the fuck? And he's passed away too. He's gone. And there's one thing that Marco said all the time, and that's what I wrote down because I want you to hear it. He's like, making the best memories is the most important thing. Everything should be about making the best memory. And I don't know if that's the wisest advice in all the aspects of things, but in its purity, I think that is true. Then I asked myself, and now I'm like 3/4 of the way down this back road, about to pull into town. This is happening fast, faster than this video. I'm like, wow, because I wanted to start beating myself up for the craziest shit. I drank a lot. I did a lot of cocaine, and I was promiscuous, and I never felt bad about that. I had a very, what I used to call, masculine approach to it. It just didn't matter to me. For me, it was about getting my fucking rocks off. The fuck? I had felt so taken advantage of in my early years that by the time I hit my 20s, I wasn't being taken advantage of anymore. And I was going to do whatever the fuck I wanted. And if what I wanted was what I wanted, that's what I wanted, and I was going to have it. And that, regardless of the big goals or the big picture, regardless of that, I was more about feel good right now than anything else. So before I jumped into beating the shit out of myself about things that I'm really not regretful for, that I just rather I had gotten to this place without all of that experience and all of that, like, fuck. It's wild. I I don't know if I'll ever sit down and write it all out. It's a lot of shit I've lived through. A lot. And then I realized what my downfall was in the first half of my life. And what I recognized about myself right now, right this minute, in the first half of my life, I was dissatisfied. Quite honestly, nothing was good enough. Nothing. Not that I never was a complainer, and like, you know how you get like the Karens? I didn't do that. I was pretty quiet when it came to shit like that. However, the amount of drinking and drugging and fucking I did had to do with my absolute discontentment and dissatisfaction. I felt like I had been shaded and screwed out of everything that I thought was mine. And when I realized there was nothing I could do about those things, I just wreaked havoc on my life. I also did not think I was going to make it past the age of 28. I was convinced of it since I was 11 years old that I was going to die before I turned 29. I wasn't sure if it was going to be the day I turned 28 or the day I turned 29 or any day in between. But that year of 28 was going to be the last one, or by 28. It was one of those. But it was a thought I had in my head since I was 11. And I quite honestly thought it was like a message from God that was it. And so I became hell bent from a very young age that I was going to live fast, die young, and have a pretty corpse. And that's like so cliche, but that was the reality of a lot of us from Montauk. So a lot of us from Montauk aren't here anymore. So when it comes to having a good life and reaching goals and manifesting your desires, your real life ones, being in a state of contentment is so big it's crazy. Because if you're not in a state of contentment, you will sin against yourself and God. And even if you survive them, you you're still going to think about it. And those memories, if you can't get to the right place, those memories will haunt you rather than make you say, "Wow, holy shit." I think I think it's really wild how everything's unfolded in my life right now. And how from the end of one road to another, I experienced 3 deep losses all over again. And still come out the other end of that road fully aware that I'm still here and that it's okay. It's okay. So I don't know how you'll get to contentment. I Everybody's road I think is different on that. Right now it's extra in the world. I think things are getting sideways. Not like in the traditional political nonsense. Um, I think like it's getting different. And there's one way to win, and you're gonna win. And in the end, God wins. How do we know? Because He wrote the beginning from the end, just like you are right now. You're writing your beginning from the end. And in the middle of all of it, you've had experiences. You've done things. You've had things done to you. Really, please develop some radical forgiveness for yourself and for everyone else. And find contentment. Because if you let yourself stay out of contentment for too long, you will never reach the goals that you're wanting. All you'll see is the shit that you don't want. Instead of recognizing the things that you don't want and using that as a catalyst, that stuff you don't want will become your freaking jailer. So reach for your contentment. Be radically forgiving of yourself and others. And reach for that contentment. Because everything will start unfolding for you in a better way. And faster than before. Being dissatisfied leads to sin. And when you're living in sin on purpose, and even accidentally, which I don't think really anybody has that. I don't think anyone innocently sins. The only way out is through. Start practicing contentment, even if you have to struggle to do it. Really start practicing contentment. And what really brings all this in the forefront for me today is that I have been practicing, like, I pray all day in everything. I'm always, all the time. I prayed just before this. This is probably part of my prayer too, but I'm not telling. All the time. I just had dinner. Every bite, I'm like, wow. You're like, wow. So I started speaking with God in the way that we were talking about the other day. Like everything that you desire is something you remember already happening. So instead of ruminating about the past in a negative light, I start remembering the deliverance from it all. I start remembering how easy and great and wonderful it is to think about the experiences I've had and not hate myself and know that that's a fucking kick in Satan's face. That through it all, even though I haven't always been a great person, I was never a bad one. And it's just wild. It's wild to me. So I find myself needing to share that with you. because I don't know where you're at right now. That's where I'm at right now. I'm really, really happy. I'm super content, dude. And it's not easy. It takes thought, it takes prayer, it takes wisdom and discernment. It takes time. And you don't have to beat yourself up anymore. You just don't. And if you find yourself doing things that you feel are sinful, you're probably not content. You're probably acting not in faith. You're acting in fear. And you're slowing yourself down. And that doesn't mean you got to smack yourself in the head, but it means you just got to turn it around. Just got to turn it around. All of a sudden, you can notice the breeze wafting in the window while you're driving down the road and touching the hairs on your arm and tickling you. You can see the cloud and the sun ray going through it. I mean, you could drive by someone's house and they have a chime on their porch and you hear it. There is death and destruction and horror everywhere. But in those same places, right next to it, is beauty, love, and happiness. And I want that for you. I want you to have it. And I want it for me too. If I find a picture of Charles, I don't know if it's here, I'll make that the cover. Because you could see in my face, I adored him. I adored him. And I'm really happy I had the time with him, regardless of all the other shit. So, I love you guys. I love you very much. I love you a long time. And I'll see you later. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Signing out. Bye.